Finally, we will hear from Congressman Todd Akin.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to join you. I'm U.S. Congressman Todd Akin, and my plan is to replace Claire McCaskill. We hear a lot about jobs in the economy, and jobs are important, and the economy is very important, and both of them are under stress. But those are symptoms of a bigger problem, and that is attack on your freedom and my freedom. The reason that I am running for the Senate is to defend freedom, which is right now under attack, unlike anything we've seen for many, many decades. My background is unusual to politics. I'm an engineer by training. I served in the Army as an officer in the combat engineers. Then I worked for IBM, and one of the main things we did was to help different clients with their productivity. Learned a whole lot about free enterprise when you start thinking in terms of productivity. And it's in that context when you look at something like this Keystone Pipeline, I think, what's there not to like? You're talking about private sector jobs, building the American energy infrastructure, and less dependence on foreign oil, and we've got a leadership that's saying, we're not going to do it. That is bizarre. And anybody who has a business background, you can see that. Now, I am rated as the most conservative congressman in the state of Missouri. Sometimes we wrestle who could be most conservative. And I think part of that, the reason why Mike Huckabee has endorsed me is for that. And you know, one of the things that ever since Ronald Reagan, and it's a good thing, that everybody who runs for office as a Republican says they're a conservative, and that's good. But one of the things we've seen is that talk and promises can sometimes be cheap, and we're disappointed by who gets elected. And a 6-year Senate term is a long term. I believe the thing that I have to offer is that proven conservative, principle-driven record. That record comes at a cost. The very first bill I ran into as U.S. Congressman was a bill that was called No Child Left Behind. And what it did was, it gave more power and more money to the educational bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. I believe in local control of schools, so I voted no on the first bill of a Republican president. That's not how you make brownie points in Washington, D.C., I might add. And then there have been a couple of other votes. I just want to give you some examples because almost all the time the Republicans are great, but there's occasionally where we do get off track as a party. One of those things I believe was off track was the Wall Street bailout. I was told by my biggest contributor, Akin, you're going to vote for the Wall Street bailout, one of my biggest contributors, and if you don't, we'll never talk to you again. And then I remembered the letters I get pretty frequently, little tiny sort of pink letters with a rose in the corner and an old person's handwriting. Dear Congressman Akin, I trust you to do the right thing and to stay on principle, and that's why I'm giving you the $5 left over from my Social Security check. And you know what? I voted no on the Wall Street bailout because it wasn't the right thing to do. I think it's fair to ask somebody who's running for the Senate, you know, what are some of your priorities? Where would you go? So if you said, Akin, you're going to get struck by lightning, but you get to have one wish. What would be the one thing you would do in the Senate if you could do it? And here's what it would be. I would take your Missouri common sense, which is called the Hancock Amendment, and essentially put a box around the federal government and say you can grow no bigger than this percentage of the GDP. So if the GDP is this size, that's all the bigger that government can grow, and that's the best anecdote I know for that stage 3 cancer of socialism that is threatening all of our freedom. There are a number of other things that got to be priorities, as you know. One of the things is Ron Paul is right when he wants to audit the Fed and he wants to separate the banking from the other function. And You know, the Senate also picks Supreme Court justices. We have a trouble with some of our justices wander into foreign countries and pick up strange ideas. We need justices that are going to defend the Constitution, not try to rewrite it. A long time ago, before I ever ran for political office, I was part of a little organization that would bring speakers to town once a month. And we'd met on those little folding chairs in the basement of a church. And there was this guy that was coming to town that we decided might make a good speaker. His name was Thomas Schumann. This is before the fall of the Berlin Wall. Thomas Schumann was an escaped KGB agent, had a colorful story of getting in a microbus of hippies from Canada and escaping from India to Canada and then to America. And he was supposed to talk 30 minutes, and he talked 2.5 hours. And he had us laughing and scared to death as he explained that the whole concept of the Soviet Union, which at that time was taking over country after country, was to plant bad ideas in countries, just water them and allow those ideas to create the division and the hatred and the discord so they could take over one country after another. And after he got going for a while, we asked him what seemed like the obvious question: how do you fight bad ideas? And he looked at us like we were idiots. He said, you fight bad ideas with good ideas, the ideas America was founded on. And it caused me to take a couple of years and to review just what is so special about America. And those of you who are here are taking part in a great exercise in the defense of freedom, because you here are standing for the good ideas that make people free and prosperous. And if you start with the basic concept of who we are, let's not forget who we are as Americans. We believe that there is a creator that gave us life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and we have that blessing because of the fact that our God made us for a purpose. Every one of you is important. Every one of you has a purpose in God's sight. And the reason we have our freedom is because of the fact that that's necessary for you to be the person God made you to be. And we see the attack on that basic concept of America as the Democrats do several things. One, they try to take God out of everything. God is the source of our power and our courage to stand up against all odds. And if they try to take God out, the next thing they want to do is they want to divide you. They want you to believe that the Republicans have got a war going against women and that the rich guy is going to pay everything and there's a black-white thing going on. They're trying to divide us from the idea that all of us are not hyphenated. It's just good enough to be God's children in America. And so it is. All of us now have an opportunity to march forward and to tell people the good ideas of what this country is about and throw out the people who are trying to sell the bad ideas. Now, what I would suggest to you is you may have a little difference of opinion with some other people seated in this room. But don't forget, our project is to be salesmen for the ideas that make people free and prosperous and not to fight each other. And so I say to you, God bless you, everyone. Go forward in strength and reassert the ideas that always made us a free and prosperous and great people. And I ask God's blessing on every single one of you. Thank you.